Hey, let's have a look at Paddy Dow report card for season 2022. A really interesting one. I don't think you need to be Einstein to figure out that he won't be at Carlton in 2023. That's guaranteed. 22 years of age, 23 in October, been in the AFL system now for 5 seasons. And 63 games across those 5 seasons, only 4 in 2022, 2 of those medical subs where he did not get a run. I'll get to that in a second. And his game tally across those 5 seasons it's gone south. You know, he started off with a bit of a bang in his first year, and it steadily got worse. We had that COVID year in the hub where he was injured in 2020. Where he didn't play much football at all. I think he only played 4 games or 3 games that season. But he hit back last year with 17, but this year's been an absolute disaster with a new coach coming into the football club. And I think if you would have been a betting man this time last year when the season was done and dusted, considering where Lockie O'Brien and their mates went to school together at Geelong Grammar, where he was at, you would probably say that if a career was going to take off this time last year, you probably would have thought it would have been Paddy Dow at Carlton, not Lockie O'Brien. Not to say that Lockie O'Brien's, it's just loaded, but they do appear worlds apart now at the Carlton Football Club. But this isn't a Lockie O'Brien report card. I'll get to him later on. Contract status is interesting. We'll have to trade for him. So he's not out of contract. Signed until the end of 2023. Signed a 3-year deal in 2018, which expired this year. But it was never really mentioned, other than in the media, that he did sign an extra year with the club earlier on this season. So I suppose in that sense we do have a bit of an upper hand in regards to a trade. But I'm not expecting to get a lot out of Paddy Dow come trade time. I'm going to mention it. Only 4 games this season, 2 of those medical subs, but I'm going to mention it. I suppose we have to mention it. Pick 3 in that 2017 draft. It hurts. It does hurt a little bit, when it's a blue chip investment. When you get that pick and get it wrong, you get it wrong. I mean, in all sensibility, we've got that wrong. And you look at what went after him at pick 4, Luke Davies-Uniacke, and what he's been able to do in an underperforming football club this year. And we talk about development. We talk about environment, but there's a guy that's just exploded and looks an absolute beast. And to think that we could have had LDU on our list right here, right now, given what he's been able to produce this year, it does sting a little bit. But it's hindsight. But I'm going to go through O'Brien at 10, we picked, TDK at 30, Shoemaker at 70, and the former son, Garland, at 78. I suppose if you want to dig a little bit deeper, but we were the only club to miss out on this one. But it hurts in the rookie draft when we took Matt Shaw. Another former Gold Coast Suns player was only on our list for a year, was just putrid. And then the Tigers took Liam Baker at pick 18 in that rookie draft. And wow, you just think what we could have done with someone like Liam Baker on our list right here, right now. Just, he's an absolute superstar. So, yeah, you win some and lose some. But, yeah, it doesn't appear to be a great pick, Paddy Dow. Top 5 draft pick and will not be at the football club in 2023. Position, I just see him as a mid. That's it. High half forward at a pinch. I don't feel he's got any type of forward craft to be able to spend a hell of a lot more time in that front half than he is in our midfield. So he's a mid, and he's not a winger. I can't see him playing a wing. He just doesn't have the engines to be able to do that. So he's very limited, very limited. And his only 2 games this year are really interesting as well. So statistically, you can't sort of rank him too harshly on the 2 games he did play. But he did play that round 11 game against Collingwood, where on paper it looks okay, you know. It looks okay. He's 21 touches, 5 clearances. And we know he's not a bad clearance player, 10 contested, 5 tackles. But bang, he was dropped the following week. In those 21 possessions, he only had 6 kicks. Peter's game was poor in that game. And I think it summed it up, you know, and as much as his VFL form was really good before he got that opportunity in round 11, I think Michael Voss, when he was asked about Paddy Dow in the press conference after being beaten by Collingwood in round 11, he just said it wasn't complimentary at all. And if you look at Voss's body language when he responded, he said he, as in Dow, came in and had a small impact. So he wasn't getting carried away with 21 touches. He just said he had a small impact. And then Voss went on to say, I'm sure if I asked him, as in asked Paddy Dow, he would have probably wanted more as well. And I think that just summed it up. And you just sense then and there that was it, you know, and he was axed the following week. And I feel that obviously Voss has got his sort of eyes set on 2 inside mids, you know, pure inside mids, which is Cripps and Kennedy. And unfortunately for Dow, he just doesn't have as many strings to his bow as maybe a Chera or a Walsh or a Fisher in there and a Hewitt as well. So so that was his first game against Collingwood, and then his second one was a disaster, round 21 against Brisbane at the Gabba. He was just poor. 13 touches, 3 clearances, and watching him try and sort of go with Lockie Neal at times, you know, 1 tackle for the game. Yeah, he just wasn't up to it. I know it's tough. You play the whole year in the VFL and you expected to come in and just sort of dominate, particularly when you're in midfield and have more of an impact, but he just couldn't do it, you know, so he didn't necessarily take the most of really limited opportunities. His VFL stats, to his credit, were really strong, you know, 18 games for the year. I reckon it dropped a little bit away as the season went on. Don't know if that was a mental fatigue thing, given that he hasn't had many opportunities at senior level, but 27 disposals he's averaging from those 18 games, 15 goals, 8, not bad, 3.2 tackles, and a big difference in kick to handball ratio. He's more willing now to handball the ball and kick it. 219 kicks, 272 handballs, 8 clearances a game. Not bad, but at that level, you expect a player who's pretty good at the contest to get, you know, to win his fair share of clearances and play predominantly midfield minutes, you know, for the entire game, and 4.5 inside 50s at VFL level across those 18 games, which isn't great. You know, I don't think you necessarily want Paddy Dow, you know, hitting your lace out, you know, streaming out of the centre. Interesting, across those 63 or 64 games he played at senior level, he never collected more than 25 touches in a game across his career at AFL level. And in those subs, he was sub for the Port game in round 5, didn't get a run, and then was sub against the D's in round 22. And I think the writing's on the wall when Setterfield comes in and Doherty goes into the middle. They prefer that to bringing Paddy Dow in, and didn't even get a sniff in against the Pies, you know, with Sam Walsh coming out. And in fact, I don't think he was even in the mood, was he, for the Collingwood game. I'd have to go back through and have a look. But his papers have been well and truly stamped from Michael Voss. Strengths, there's no doubt he's got some speed. We see that speed from the congestion. It's always been a real asset for him and a real eye-opener when we first saw him, you know, in his first year. He had some wonderful moments when he really did sort of, got away from a clearance or a stoppage and really explode. He's got sort of tremendous core strength and power from the contest. His contest work is pretty good at VFL level. I think he's got pretty sound vision by hand. And I don't think it quite translates into his kicking. I just think his kicking's that poor that, I don't think he makes wrong decisions by foot. I just think he's poor execution by foot rather than making wrong decisions. But he's got good agility as well, so a decent sidestep. I think his strengths as well is he's been able to keep his head and go back and be consistent form at the VFL level. Must have been difficult for him. Weaknesses, and I reckon there's plenty. Kicking, no good. Shit kick. I don't think he's got great endurance. That's why he can't play wing. I just don't think it's been developed from his point of view. He's not good from spreading, on transition. So he's not a great outside player. Get the ball on the outside, and he's got, as much as he's got good speed, and you see his speed, and it is eye-catching at times, he hasn't got speed on transition. He actually looks slow. When the ball's in the hands of the opposition. Don't think he's got great strength. His upper body hasn't really developed. As much as, his tackling's probably improved across 5 seasons of being in the weights program. I don't think he's a great tackler, and he hasn't got great strength. And I think the biggest issue for me with Paddy Dow is his lack of versatility in his role. He's a one-trick pony as far as I'm concerned. And he hasn't been able to, for whatever reason, add to what looks like a pretty sort of decent package, and that is that speed and break away from congestion. And that looks good, and it is eye-catching. And I mentioned the fact that, others have been preferred. Setterfield got the nod in the Melbourne game when Chera went out and he got the job on Oliver. And did a reasonable job with that, and then you got Chera, Hewitt, Kennedy, and then Doherty going into the middle in the last 2 games. That would have been a kick in the guts and a kick in the teeth. And I mean, a guy that's played predominantly his whole career in the back half, and you've got a midfielder, racking up lots of ball in the VFL, and you're not getting a look in. I just think there's far too many in front of him. And my myth for Paddy Dow is, I'm hearing things like he will make us pay at another club. I just don't think that will happen. And that's nothing against him, because I'd actually like him to go somewhere and get more opportunities and actually be a really good AFL footballer. And that would sting, but for him, it'd be great to actually see that. But I just don't see, I couldn't see a Geelong. I mean, maybe Geelong take a punt on him. There are rumours that he might go to a Geelong or a Richmond. I just don't see it in him. I just think he has so many deficiencies, but maybe a better system will help him. So my myth is he will not make us pay at another club. And it might be a sort of similar situation to Sam Petrescu season at the West Coast Eagles. My one word for Paddy Dow: overlooked. Overlooked. Not ignored. Ignored suggests that we got it wrong. I just think overlooked because there's so many preferred in front of him. We've had guys really develop. Kennedy in his role, Fisher in his role. Carroll we think will come on. And as soon as we got Chera and Hewitt into the club, then I think the writing was on the wall for Paddy Dow. I'm going to give him a 2.5 out of 10. I'm giving a half a mark for the fact that he didn't drop his bundle at VFL level, and he hopefully might even play in a premiership with our VFL side this year, and that would be great if he's able to. Imagine that. Imagine that. You know, he after what we haven't been able to do this year and the disappointment of this year finishing, that Paddy Dow won't be at the club in 2023, goes back and dominates the VFL level in the final series, and we win a grand final. That'd be great for him and great for us. But yeah, 2.5 out of 10 for Paddy Dow. Tell me what you think, guys. We know he won't be at the club in 2023. Where do you think? Where do you think it's gone wrong with Paddy Dow? Speak soon.